right, sixth grade, last section in chapter 13. You guys are doing great working through this chapter. This is actually the farthest I've ever gotten with a sixth grade math class. So great job getting all the way to where we are. And we are going to be working on translations today. Translations. So a transformation is any change in the position. Whoops, fat white pen is not going to be our friend in this lesson. Let me change that. Okay, transformation is any change in the position, size, or shape of a figure. You've already learned about enlargements and reductions, which are transformations that change the size of a figure. A translation, which is what we're talking about now, is a special kind of transformation. A translation changes the position of a figure. It moves every point of the figure the same distance in the same direction. So example number 1 says translate the given triangle 1 unit right and 2 units up. So here is the triangle we're starting off with. I have gone ahead and I've put a larger coordinate plane here so I can show you what's going on. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to redraw this triangle that's just right here. So A there is at 0, 1. So here's A. B is at -3, 1. So here's -3, 1. Here's point B. And C is down here at -1, 2. -1, 2. All right, there's C. And we're just going to connect those and make our triangle. Now, we were instructed to translate this triangle, okay, to move the position of this triangle 1 unit right and 2 units up. So what we have to do is we have to translate, or we have to move each one of the points of this triangle 1 unit right and 2 units up. So I'm going to start with point A. Okay, here we are, point A, and we need to move it 1 unit to the right. So I'm going to just dash these lines here. Here is 1 unit to the right and 2 units up. Here would be 1 unit up, and here's 2 units up. So here's our new point A, and I'm going to name this A with this little thing that looks like an apostrophe there. That we call that A prime, and the prime comes after the A because it is our translated image of the point, okay? So we started with A, and our new A is A prime. That's the translated image, and we show that by putting that little apostrophe thing after point A. Now I'm going to do the same thing for point B. I need to move point B 1 unit right and 2 units up. So A or B, 1 unit right gets me here. 2 units up, there's 1 unit, and here's 2 units, and that's going to be B prime. That's the image. And then C, down here, we're going to do the same thing. 1 unit right. That takes me to my y-axis, and 2 units up takes me to my origin, okay, at 0, 0. So there's C prime. Now, connect the points of your triangle, just like we did before. And we have the translation of our original triangle, 1 unit right and 2 units up. Notice the size of the triangle did not change. The position of the triangle did. Okay, that's a translation. Skill check number 1, translate the triangle 3 units left and 1 unit down. We're going to work through the same process with each one of the points or the vertices of our triangle. So let's start with Z. 3 units left, 1 unit, 2 units. 3 units takes me to the y-axis, and 1 unit down takes me down to the origin. So this is Z prime. I'm going to work with that y point, 3 units left. There's 1 unit, there's 2 units, there's 3 units, and 1 unit down. Oh, it's right on top of X, that's okay. There's y prime right there. And then X, 3 units left, 1, 2, 3, and 1 unit down becomes x prime. Now connect your vertices. Whoops, I'm going to erase that because that's really crooked and that would drive me nuts. Okay. Connect my vertices. And the triangle looks the exact same shape, the exact same size. It's just moved positions. When you're translating, if you were doing this and you ended up with a triangle that was like this, this, and this, you've got to say to yourself, okay, that looks like a very different shape than what I started off with. I have done something incorrect. I need to erase what I've done and go back to the drawing board, okay? This just reminds us x with this little apostrophe thing is read as x prime. Now, notice that a rule can be written for the translation in example number 1. The horizontal change, remember horizontal moving left to right, the horizontal change was 1 unit right, which means the x values all increased by 1. We were moving to the right, which means we were getting more positive as we moved to the right, and we were moving 1 unit right. So that means the values increased by 1. The vertical change was 2 units up. So the y values increased by 2. As we move up, we are getting positive, okay? As we move up, we're getting positive. So it's a positive 2 change, which is why the y values increased by 2. If xy represents the points of the original figure and x prime y prime represents the translated points, then x prime y prime is equal to x plus 1 because the x values increased by 1, and y prime is equal to y plus 2 because the y values increased by 2. Now, let's look at example number 2. Write the rule for the translation shown. So remember, the letters of the figure that do not have the prime symbol are the first image. The prime symbol is the second image. It's the translated image. So what we want to do is we want to say what is happening between any 2 of these points. Pick one. Okay, let's just do B. So here we have B and here we have B prime. How was point B translated to go from B to B prime? What we're going to do first is we're going to look at the horizontal translation. How did point B move left to right to become B prime? Well, point B, let's just write the coordinate points of point B, is 0, 0, or excuse me, is 2, 0, right? 2 units on the x-axis, no units up on the y. So the coordinate points of B are 2, 0. The coordinate points of B prime are negative 1, it's moved over 1 on the x-axis from 0, and 2 units up on the y. Okay, so B prime is negative 1, 2. So B, to go from B to B prime, let's count how many units we moved to the left. 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, and that's 3 units to the left. So is that going to be negative 3 or positive 3? Well, if we're moving to the left on the x-axis, we are moving towards the negative, okay? So that means B moved 3 units to the left. So if B is x, y, and B prime is x prime, y prime, then x prime, y prime is equal to, what did we do to x? Well, we subtracted 3 units because we moved 3 units to the left. So x minus 3. And then now let's look at what did we do to y. B is at 0 here. How many units did we move up on the y-axis to get to B prime? 1, 2 units. And we moved up. So that's a positive translation. So that means we add 2 to our y values. So it is y plus 2. Now check with the values that we've written here. If our rule that we wrote right here is true, then it should fit our translation of these points. Plug it in. If x is 2, what's 2 minus 3? 2 minus 3 is -1. If y is 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. Sorry, that should be a -1 there. So we end up at -1, 2, which means we have done that correctly because it matches our coordinate point for B prime. Skill check number 2 says write the translation rule for the graph shown. So we're starting with A, B, C, D with the black one. We're moving to the red one. So let's choose, in this case, it really doesn't matter which points you want to choose. Let's just choose C. So we have C, and we're going to C prime. So let's see what we do horizontally first, okay? So we go 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the left. If we're moving to the left, that means we are subtracting from x, right? So x minus 4. And then from C down to C prime, 1, 2, 3, and that's down. We're moving down, so it's y minus 3. Let's check to make sure we've done this correctly with point D, okay? So let's see, what are the coordinate points of point D? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, okay? So D is at 4, 2. Let's just follow our rule that says that prime, x prime, y prime, should be, here's our rule over here, should be x minus 4, y minus 3. So let's substitute in our points 4 and 2. X prime, y prime, which really is d prime, should be x minus 4, 4 minus 4, and y minus 3, 2 minus 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 minus 3 is -1. So is d prime at 0, -1 on our graph? Here's d prime right here, 0, -1. Okay, let's check it with b and b prime. Okay, b is up there at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So b is 1, 4. So b prime should be at x minus 4, 1 minus 4, and y minus 3, 4 minus 3. 1 minus 4 is -3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Let's find b prime on our graph. 1, 2, -3, 1. b prime is at -3, 1, which is exactly, so b prime is exactly where it should be based on our rule. So our translation rule for the graph, x minus 4, y minus 3. Number 2, write the rule for the translation that moves 7 units right and 5 units down. That's just asking us to recognize that if a graph is moving 7 units right, that's a positive movement of 7, so we are adding 7 units to x. And if it is moving 5 units down, that means it's a negative movement away from y, so we are subtracting 5 units from the y values, and it's y minus 5. Okay, that is this lesson.